down in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. They told us this, one of the primary students of the Baal Shem Tov brings down in Ben Paris Yosef, brings down a mashal, a metaphor that he heard from his teacher, from the Holy Baal Shem. And it's a very cryptic, very deep, but also cryptic mashal. This is the metaphor. What is a mashal? Being a mashal, he says it's a metaphor like this. This is in Ben Paris Yosef at the end. It's also brought down in the Baal Shem al Torah in Parashas Nitzavim, and it's a little bit more clear in the Heichar Bracha, in Buch Kaisei. So the Baal Shem Tov said like this: there's a mashal, there's a metaphor of this, like this. The king had three people that are his beloved, three dear friends of the king. And these people were once speaking that they think that the king stopped caring about them and stopped loving them. As it's known that the Baal Shem Tov often brings, when he brings a metaphor, he brings it of a king with subjects, or a king with his older son. We once spoke about this when we're talking about the teachings of the Maggid. In contrast, the Maggid always talks about a father and a young son, or a parent and a young son. So the famous way that Baal Shem Tov used to express himself is with a king and subjects, or a king with its child, and here's a king with three friends. So the king gets wind of this and hears that there are three of his dear friends, think that the king no longer loves them. So he tells them, Tzivilhem, he commands them, he tells them that they should, sheyezunu v'yisparnus kol echad kelev mechatzar malach, that each one, the treasuries of the king will be open, and each one could feed the dog. Which dog? So if you look clearly more in Heichal Bracha, it says it's his dog, the dogs of the people. So each person has a dog. This is the metaphor. Each of them have a dog. I guess they have a pet or a protective dog. And the king says that, I know each one has a dog, so each of you the treasury is open, and you can take as much as you want from the treasury and enjoy yourself and feed your dog as much as you want. And there are three people. One is the wise one, and he went along and he created a beautiful garment for the king from the money, from the hitzah, from the treasure of the king. Instead of what he was able to take out from the treasury to feed his dog, instead he took this money or these jewels and the gems, and he created a beautiful garment for the king. It doesn't say what happened exactly with the dog itself, but his focus was for the glory of the king. The second one is Pirnus v'zom b'doichich sakalav shlayamos. The second one said, I'm going to use the treasure of the king to feed my dog. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. The king is such an important person, and I love him so much. So I'm going to meagerly feed as much as I can in order for the dog to survive. But that's it. And the dog does survive. So he takes a little bit out of the treasure of the king, and he uses that to buy food for the dog to eat. The third one says, listen, if the king told me that I should feed my dog and gives me all the pleasures, and the treasures are open, so he fed the dog berevach. He gave as much as he can. He overstuffed the dog. And because of this, the king, Gira Hamelech Esakelabai, the king, the dog became very fat, very strong. Remember, this is a metaphor. And the king released the dog on its owner. So the dog ended up biting the owner. The person fed the dog, made the dog really healthy, and then the dog itself turned around and bit the person. However, for the first person who used the treasures of the king to create a beautiful garment for the king did not do that. That's it. That's the end of the metaphor. What exactly is it saying? So there's a few things that we have to unpack. First of all, what is a dog? What is the difference between these three people? One. The third person feeds the dog and the dog completely overeats, and then eventually the dog bites the person. The middle person, which feeds the dog minimally, the Baal Shem actually doesn't even talk about that person. It's a persona non grata. He doesn't talk about the person. And the first person, which seems to be the right way of doing things, is that he takes from the treasures of the king and does it for the glory of the king. Takes the treasures and creates this beautiful garment for the king. What is this metaphor? And perhaps it's related to Rosh Hashanah, because the teachings is also brought on of a verse in Parshas Nitzavim, the verse in Nitzavim, the Zohar says, when it says that you're standing in front of Hashem today, what is the day? Hayom. That day is Rosh Hashanah, the day Yom Adin, the day of judgment. So there's a Tikkun Zohar. The Tikkun Zohar writes, Tikkun Vav. Tikkun Zohar writes. Tikkun Zohar is a later revealing of parts of the Zohar that wasn't revealed originally when the Zohar was revealed, but it's parts of the Zohar, different tikkunim, different explanations or corrections on the first pasuk on the Torah. The Tikkun Zohar says, B'yom Kippurim, that there is on the day of Yom Kippur, the day of truth, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the days of Yom Neroim, the days of awe, the way the Rosh Hashanah phrase these days, that these are days of awe, days of judgment. So there's days of awe, days of judgment on Yom Kippur, especially for Rosh Hashanah, for Beinanim. Mezoina slicha v'kapara v'chai, kasal l'chaim. That it's a day of forgiveness, slicha, mechila v'kapara, and life and connectivity and dveikus and connecting to Hashem. And there's klavim atzayakim, and on that day of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, there are dogs that bark, and they bark and they say hav, give. So hav is like the rough or the sound of a dog barking, and the translation of that sound of hav in Aramaic is in the language of the Zohar means give. So there are dogs. This is what the Zohar is saying, that there are people / dogs. In the metaphor, they're representing dogs. Certainly when the Zohar is talking, it's very important to understand. In the times of Chazal, and certainly in the times of the Torah, the dogs were wild dogs for the most part. They weren't tame dogs. They weren't house dogs. They weren't pets or things like that. They were wild dogs. And the Zohar is saying that there's this idea of a dog, or the metaphor of the dog is that there are people on Yom Kippur, there are people on the high holy days, on the highest days of the year, that instead of asking for forgiveness, to be close and to have experienced dveikus, to experience openness and being connected to Hashem, what are they saying? Hav, give me. What are they asking? Give me for myself. Give me more. They're asking for themselves. So this is what the Zohar says. So we know now from this Zohar, translated then into the metaphor of the Baal Shem Tov, that the dog, this capital dog, represents the body and the desires of the body, the desires of the physical self, or we'll call it the nefesh habahamis, the animal soul part of man, the part that's for survival, the existence of self. And there are certain dogs that are just asking to give for themselves. Now, what the Zohar is saying, what the Tikkun Zohar is saying, is that it seems like it's a terrible thing to ask for personal needs on Rosh Hashanah. Right? That's what it seems. That if you're a selfish dog, or a selfish kelev, which is a dog, and all you're thinking about yourself, then you're like barking and saying hav, instead of understanding what Rosh Hashanah is about, and what's really transpiring on this holy day of Rosh Hashanah. All you're thinking is about yourself to receive. The problem with this is, and this is the Rebbe explains this in Kudsech Chelik Yutes, and that this seems to be a very paradoxical, a very complicated statement in the Zohar, because we know that Rosh Hashanah, the pasuk says, "Ki chak liso mishmil Yaakov," That is a chokli Yisrael. We can say this on Rosh Hashanah many times. Ki chokli Yisrael hu mishmal Yaakov. That on Rosh Hashanah there's a chok, which is Tefilah, which represents the idea of food, which is there's a judgment for physicality on Rosh Hashanah, and there's a mishmal Yaakov. There's a judgment of spirituality. How much, in other words, there's a judgment how much a person spiritually they're going to receive this year, and there's a judgment of a person physically how much are they going to receive this year. In fact, the Arizal writes that the reason why their Rosh Hashanah is 2 days, Chazal tells us that the reason for Rosh Hashanah is for 2 days is not to do with Sveika de Yoma. It's nothing to do with the doubt of what day is Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Chodesh, and the witnesses and that are further away from Yerushalayim. But even Yerushalayim, many years back, already in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, they established that at certain times, if witnesses didn't show up for a certain time, they would have 2 days Rosh Hashanah. The Rosh Hashanah is not because Sveika de Yoma, and it's Kiyam Arichadami. It's like considered like one long day, and it's not because of doubt. So why do we have 2 days of Rosh Hashanah? The deeper reason, certainly today, why do we have 2 days of Rosh Hashanah? So the Ari explains that because Rosh Hashanah, there is 2 days because one represents the judgment, what we're going to receive for the entire year, the download we're going to receive, everything on a spiritual level, and one is the download and everything you're going to receive on a physical level. So on Rosh Hashanah, we're drawing down the blessings for the entire year. Besides it's Shabbos and Yom Tov and Talmud Torah, besides those things, besides for how much we're going to spend on Shabbos and Yom Tov and learning Torah, but everything that we're going to receive physically in this coming year, all our health and our entire parnasa and how much livelihood we're going to have this year, everything has been drawn down on a klolistic level, on a general level, on Rosh Hashanah. Of course, every single day when we daven, we're bringing down from the klolis to the pratis, from the general into the specific. Therefore, a person has to pray daven every single day. And other than the b'chol yom, a person is judged every day in terms of how much you draw down from that bank, sort of. Like on Rosh Hashanah, we draw the money into the bank, all the money that we're going to receive and all the blessings physically we're going to receive for the coming year. And then also on the second day, and then the 2 days represent also everything we're going to receive on a spiritual level. And then throughout the year, it's as if we're taking out money from the bank. So that's like the pratis, how much money we're going to take out today. But the idea of Rosh Hashanah is really to draw down the blessings for everything. In fact, Dagos Maimonides writes in Hilchos Tshuva that Rosh Hashanah is predominantly about asking for physicality and asking for the need that we need for Bana Chayim Zayna, that we need livelihood, that we need health, and we need nachas from our children. We need our children to be healthy, and we need to be in good marriages, and we should have shalom bayis. Everything you're going to receive on a physical and spiritual level, but mainly on the physical level happens on Rosh Hashanah. In fact, according to the Ramban, there's an argument between the Rambam and the Ramban. The Rambam holds that there's a mitzvah l'spal chol yom. There's a mitzvah to daven every single day. And l'avdei b'chol avavchem, the idea l'avdei, like the Gemara says, is the idea that l'avdei is every single day a person has to daven, and that's like a person has to eat every single day. That's a l'avdei, and then it talks about food. Soifin brings down that the idea is that that's like you need to eat food every single day in order to survive, or every few days, but you have to eat. The same thing also with davening, you have to daven every single day. The Ramban says no, that davening, the mitzvah of Tefilah, the mitzvah of prayer, is only when you're in a need, when there's a chesed, there's something missing in your life. Which means that to daven is, and Rosh Hashanah is all about davening, is when you're lacking something physical and you're praying for something physical. So how could the Zohar say that a Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, someone says, give me, I need physical things in this world. I need to have my health. I need to have my wealth. I need to have my children healthy. I need to be in good relationships. I need my life to be in a good place physically. So if that's the idea of Rosh Hashanah, how could the Zohar say that person's considered like a dog that barks and just says, give me? And that's a kind of saying, that's like a terrible thing that the Zohar is saying, that a person should not be doing on Rosh Hashanah. So let's go back to the Mashal. This is really explaining Chassidus, but let's go back into the Mashal, the way the Baal Shem Tov, the metaphor, the way the Baal Shem Tov speaks about this, and try to understand this. And this is true on Rosh Hashanah, because Rosh Hashanah is the download for the entire year, but it's essentially true every single day of every single moment in this world, which is, there's a king of the universe, the master of the universe, the creator, in this metaphor, that has Oitzes HaMelech, has these beautiful treasures. And he has beloved people, his creation. We are the beloved of Hashem. Ata Moyavai. We are the beloved. And Hashem loves us. And Hashem creates a world, a beautiful world, a majestic world, a world full of expanse and beauty. We're talking about before man could get involved and, God forbid, disturb the universe, disturb the planet. We're talking about the world, the way it's created, and the beautiful majesty of this world, and the beautiful plenty, and the gorgeousness of its colors and its fabric and its tastes and its sounds. The Marabon Osech Hashem, this wonderful world that Hashem created for man. And we are sometimes saying that we don't feel loved. And Hashem says, I gave you the whole world. I gave you infinite amount of possibilities, infinite amount of pleasures that you can enjoy. And there are three people here in the metaphor. The middle one, which we're not going to talk about, and the Baal Shem doesn't even want to talk about this person, is a person that lives meagerly. Is pirnes v'zom b'doichik es hakelev shelo yomus. A person says, I only need from this world enough so I should survive, and the dog shouldn't die. Now, he doesn't do this because he's an Oved Hashem, he's serving Hashem, and he feels like through asceticism or through something practice, he's going to elevate himself to be in a more expansive place. He does it because he lives with katnas hamach, he lives with smallness. He lives as an ani, he lives as a poor person. The world, Hashem says, I'm giving you all this infinite amount of pleasure, amount of possibilities. And this can mean also on a physical level and certainly also on a spiritual level. And the person says, all I want is my little tiny things that I need in my life. And a person lives bedoichik. A person lives verkvetched, verklempt. A person lives small and stuck and lives in a mindset of scarcity, in a mindset that they're always poor. And I don't really only mean this poor on a physical level, but also on ibadas. They feel that they're always small and always everything's impossible, and everything is meager. Everything is bekatnas. And sometimes people have money, some people don't have money. But it's not only about money. It's not only about how much a person has in their bank. It's about how a person relates to this world. Do they come to this? Do they live in this world in a place of scarcity, or they live in a place of plenty? Do they come from katnas hamoichin or gadlus hamoichin? They're coming from a place of constriction or expansion. You know, let's say a person, I'll give you a mashal. This is something I've seen this often, and it's a very simple metaphor of this idea. Is, sometimes you eat in someone's house, let's say on Shabbos, or certainly if you're a bacher, if you're younger, you eat in other people's homes. And let's say sometimes you come to a person's home and it's a big spread, and you feel like a spashtas, you feel like this person's living openly, and especially that Tzor Shabbos Yom Tov is not part of what the download you have in Rosh Hashanah. And it's besides that, and not much you spend, you will receive, and you feel like Shabbos is a queen, and Shabbos is a malka, and Shabbos is you're like a king, and you're sitting at a feast, and people put out a spread like they're experiencing a feast, and even people that don't have money, and then you have people that do have money, and they don't celebrate like a feast. And sometimes even you go to a person's home and you think to yourself. Not do you think yourself, because let's say you're that person. You should think to yourself, not judge other people. And you think, maybe I don't have enough money to put out a huge feast. I can't afford good meats, and I can't afford maybe even chicken, and I can't afford even good fish. Maybe I need to have a little piece of gefilte fish. Maybe I don't have the funds, and for whatever reason, even with not taking into consideration or taking into consideration that Chus B'Shabbat by Tzar Shabbos Yom Tov, I don't have. But why wouldn't you open up like 5 challahs on your table at the meal? A challah is not expensive. You can afford other things, don't do that, but give it breitkeit. Live with breitkeit. Live with expansiveness. it's a mindset. So the Baal Shem Tov is saying that, there's a saying by the Chazal Lublin. The Rebbe Lublin once said that after 120, a person's going to be asked, why weren't they rich? Now, what does it mean, why don't they rich? Now, the Gemara says, we know that there's questions that are asked, the Torah, there's different things that the Gemara says were asked. And he says, no, there's another question that's asked. And the question is, why weren't you rich? You have to give a cheshbon of why you weren't rich. You have to give a judgment of why you weren't rich. And he's not saying rich in money. You have to have $1 million in the bank and have to live rich. He's not saying that. Why didn't you live with ispashtus? Why didn't you live expansively? I gave you such a beautiful world. Why didn't you live this way? So the middle person in the eyes of the Baal Shem Tov doesn't even want to talk about this person. That the person is living meagerly, and the person is living with katnas, with constriction. Baal Shem Tov doesn't even want to talk about this person. Baal Shem Tov is going to talk about the two other people. And this is it's a very fine line, and a subtle difference, but it's a very important difference. The third person sees the world, sees the pleasures of the world, and says, even this the person, maybe even like a person that's a kind of a spiritual person, someone that feels connected, and says, Hashem created this, which means already there's a recognition of Hashem, that there's a creator. It says, Hashem created all these pleasures in the world. I am going to indulge, certainly if a person is not thinking about Hashem, I'm going to indulge in these pleasures to the extreme. No balance, no measurements, no discipline. I'm going to completely throw myself in to fully enjoy the pleasures of this world, that the world has to offer. What's the end result, says the Baal Shem Tov? When you feed a dog with no restraint. Berevach. I'm expansive. I'm living large. I'm going to completely indulge completely. He says what's going to happen at the end is that the dog is going to bite you. What does that mean? It means that the end result of unbridled indulgence in this world, without any discipline, without any mindfulness, without any state of consciousness, is that you become sick. It's like a metaphor of this is, let's say if you enjoy, let's say, ice cream, and you decide that, you know what, normally I'll take a cup of ice cream or a spoon of ice cream, whatever you eat, after dinner, after supper, whatever. Today, I don't care. I'm just gonna, throw myself into this pleasure. And this is just a metaphor. What you end up doing is you end up eating the entire tub of ice cream and you feel sick. With Amram and Tamar, Chazal say in the Psukim say in Tanakh that he desired this woman. He desired her tremendously, and she was forbidden to him. It was a half sister of his, and then God forbid he was with her, and then he hated her, which means after the indulgence, there was the disgust. There was the want to throw up. It's like after you eat the tub of ice cream and you feel sick. The end result of of just give me. I just want to receive as much as I can from this world, without any hesitation, without any limitation. I just want to, because I'm a physical being and I love pleasure. And I'm really addicted to pleasure. Maybe I'm medushnei oineg, like the Noam Malach says. That we're people that are addicted to pleasure, and I love pleasure, and I just want to have desire and fulfill my desires. Says Baal Shem Tov, you think you're actually doing something that's pleasurable, but at the end you're going to feel sick. The dog itself is going to bite you. But there's the other side. This is where's the higher side of this. And here, in this metaphor, the Baal Shem Tov says that the pleasures of the world, the treasures of the king are accessible. The king says you can take whatever you want. And it doesn't speak about the dog itself. It never mentions the dog. What does he do? He says he makes this beautiful tapestry, this beautiful garment for the king, but what actually happens to the dog? In the second case, the dog survives, but meagerly. It's a thin little dog, a Nebuch dog. Because this guy is living meagerly. This guy is living like an oni. The guy is living impoverished. The person is living like in scarcity. always verklempt and always verquetscht, always restricted and always just trying to scrape a few things together. And then the third person is living really large and then feels disgusted. So the dog survives in the third case, but it becomes really too strong or too powerful and then bites you. The second case is the dog survives, but it's meagerly. You scrape through life. In the first case, the Baal Shem doesn't talk about what happens with the dog. And this is the depth of what he's saying. This is really the depth of what it's explained of there. This is the depth of what it means. That Hashem created a world. A beautiful world. A world that's full of divine, exquisite beauty. Marab Masach Hashem. Magadol Masach Hashem. Hashem created a beautiful, that's even holding an apple in your hand. The gorgeousness and the deliciousness of an apple is magnificent. Every single thing in this world is completely magnificent. It's the way things develop and the intricate details of something to become something is wonderful. It's magical. It's unexplained. It's inexplicable almost. And that's the world Hashem created. And Hashem says, I'm giving it to you. The treasures are open. And what does a person say in the first case scenario? In the first part of the metaphor, the person says, I want to live my life to be an instrument to reveal Hashem's presence in this world. I want to live large, and I want to have everything in my life that I need. And like the Rambam writes in Hilchos Tshuva, in the Laws of Tshuva, that when Hashem says, if you walk in my statutes, you walk in my ways, I'll give you rain and I'll give you physicality, Geshem, I'll give you physicality, like Rabbeinu Bechaya writes. That rain comes from the word Geshem, physicality. I'll give you physicality, I'll give you physical things, I'll give you everything that you need. It's not even schar, that's not the reward of the mitzvah, it's the yudim, it's order for us to be in this world in a holy way. In order for us to be Mekadosh Shem Shemayim, in order to sanctify Hashem's name, in order to live, in order for us to live in a way that I'm created to serve my master, to make a Kiddush Hashem, to bring Hashem's presence into this world, to make a dir b'tachtonim, to bring a dwelling for Hashem's place in this world, that Hashem's glory and the Kvod Hashem should be revealed in every single aspect of what I'm doing. You're telling Hashem, this is what you're telling yourself, is I need these things so I can do these things correctly. I can't daven correctly, I can't pray correctly, or I can't learn Torah correctly, I can't sit and learn correctly if my foot is hurting, or if I have to go to the doctor because I broke my leg. If I'm busy with the physical, with the things that are holding me back, if I'm not experiencing the shefa, the divine expression of light and of love and of expansiveness and fullness and bounty and ashiras, if I'm not experiencing that because I have to deal with certain type of katna, certain type of constrictions and small things that are bothering me, but I need to take care of this because I'm worried about my electric bill, I'm worried about how am I going to pay my mortgage, I'm worried about how am I going to pay my schar limit of my children, how am I going to pay their tuition, or how am I going to, or physically I'm not feeling well, or my wife is not feeling well, my children are not feeling well, God forbid. If this is what's going on in my life, I can't serve you, Hashem. This is what we're asking in Rosh Hashanah. When we're asking in Rosh Hashanah, we're saying, yes, we know that the treasures are open. The king's treasures are open. And Hashem says, I'm giving you everything that you need. And you say, give me. But you're not like they're saying, give me because my dog is hungry. Because I need for myself. We're not even talking about the dog. We're only talking about you, Hashem. This is what the first part of the metaphor is. It doesn't mention the dog. Of course, the dog survives, but it's not about the dog. It's not about the body. It's not about me. Me as an individual person, I need certain financial stability and I need my health. And I need so I can function in this world and I can eat better and sleep better and do better work. That's part of it, but that's not what I want. What I really want, what's my real shefa in this world, is I want to create a Torah l'melech. I want to create a beautiful tapestry, a beautiful garment for the king. That's my desire. This is what Rosh Hashanah is. Tamchuni Aleichem. I want you to be the king. That I know that you are the king of the universe. You're the master of the universe. But Ei Melech B'Lo Yam. You're not a master. You're just a Mashal, you're a dictator without me being in this world in a way that shows that I'm bringing Kvod Shemayim, I'm bringing the glory of Hashem in this world, the way I act, the way I speak, the way I live my life. So Hashem, I need all these things, but not as me, as my ego, as my personal dog that's hungry and have, give me so I should just survive. I need it for you. I need it for you, for your covet, for your glory, for your honor. And when a person does that, then this is the posture, and this is the mindset of Rosh Hashanah. When we enter into Rosh Hashanah, and we daven in Rosh Hashanah, and Kichoykali Yisrael Hu, that it's a mishpat, that it's a judgment, it's a choyk, and a judgment for the physicality of the world. We're telling Hashem that is intricately connected to the Tamchuni Aleichem, that you should be the master of the universe, because I cannot be a proper servant to you, to bring your glory into this world, to express Hashem's light in this world, and Hashem's love in this world, and Hashem's holiness in this world, without me being, if I'm busy being in a place of katnas, a place of constriction, because my foot is hurting, or because I'm worried about, that I can't pay my rent, or I can't pay my mortgage. So Hashem, I need all these blessings, but not for myself. I need these blessings for you. I need these blessings so I can be the proper vessel, and the proper shliach, the proper messenger, to bring down the glory of Hashem and to create a beautiful dira, a beautiful home, a beautiful dwelling place for the Shekhinah to rest. And that's the avodah of Rosh Hashanah. That's the work of Rosh Hashanah. And this is the holy metaphor that the Baal Shem brings down, that to live expansively, to live openly, to realize that the king has tremendous amount of treasures, and this is also spiritually, not to live meagerly physically, like an ani bedas on a physical level, and also not to live meagerly spiritually. Don't think that I can't reach anything and I will never amount to anything and I'm nobody and who am I and my prayers don't really mean anything and I'm just a tiny little me. Live with Ashir. The Oitzer HaMelech is available. The king's treasures are available and we want it. We desire it, but not for ourselves, our little small ego, because we want it so we should bring down the glory of Hashem, and we can be instruments to bring down the Shekhinah into this world. Everyone should be blessed. B'sach Klal Yisrael for Aksiva v'Chsima Tova, and we should all experience a Geula Klalis, a general redemption for the entire world, and a Geula Pratis b'Pnimius Nafsham, and every single person on their own personal level should experience true redemption. Have a wonderful, wonderful year.